I am going to San Antonio this week, but if I'm honest with myself, I still have a bad taste in my mouth. Those dang Vacancy wars in the 1990s really get at me. How dare they not like New York City salsa? New York City picante sauce rules!
Do you live, eat, and sleep the hotel industry? Looking to brush up on your game? You've come to the right place. Welcome to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey everybody, Glenn Hausman here with the No Vacancy Podcast. I'm excited and delighted to have you here each and every week as we talk to the biggest names in the hotel industry. I'm super excited about today because today is part 2 of our 3-part Summer in the Cities event, where we're talking to different brand leaders from the various family of Hilton brands in different cities, and it's really a really cool thing. Last month in June, we were up in Seattle focused on Embassy Suites, and today we're going to be in San Antonio focusing on Home2 Suites, where I speak to the global head, Adrian Kurre. Such a great conversation, such a fun guy, so interesting, and am I having so much fun doing this series of shows. And of course, I want you to subscribe to the No Vacancy Podcast if you haven't done that. You can do that several ways. Just grab it on iTunes, grab it on Google Play, grab it on radio.com, and wherever your finer podcasts are found, like Stitcher, and all of those sources out there as well. And we're also where some of the crappy podcasts are as well, because we don't want you to miss out on our show, whether or not you think it's great or if you think it's a pile of big old stinking ass. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I want you all to reshape your expectations of what an FF&E distribution partner for hospitality should be. That's why I love Almo Hospitality. Because why? They're your go-to partner to simplify FF&E deployments for the guest room and beyond. With industry-leading brands, the latest hospitality trends, and distinctive new-to-market brands coupled with their specialized business development and hospitality-dedicated sales teams. I love these people. They're going to help save you money, which in turn helps you bring better money to the bottom line. But more important than even saving money is how awesome they are. They're some of the nicest people that I've had the pleasure of working with. And Almo Hospitality is a division of Almo Corporation, the nation's largest independent distributor of professional AV, consumer electronics, major appliances, outdoor furniture, housewares, and lots more. Find them at hospitality.almoproav.com. That's hospitality.almoproav.com. And be sure to check out all of our videos too on the No Vacancy News site. Go to novacancynews.com to check all of that stuff out. So today I'm going to keep it quick. I'm going to keep it simple. We're just going to get into this interview that I have with Adrian Kurre because it's just that good and it's just that much fun. I know we're going to be doing a little bit of a format change here for you, so I hope you like hearing the interview that we had. You can watch the video of it coming up sometime this week on LinkedIn, and of course posted on the novacancynews.com site. All right, I'm excited to bring you this special show. So we're going to go to commercial break, and as soon as we come back, it's Adrian Kurre. We're on a balcony in San Antonio having a great conversation. You're going to love to learn from him. Stick around because we'll be right back after this.
Have a question for your host, Glenn? Tweet him now at Traveling Glenn. No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, Glenn here. So get this. Recently, NBC's Today Show came out with a list of the 10 best hotels in the world, and my incredible friends over at Red Roof made that list. They've also been voted best budget hotel brand by USA Today readers 3 of the past 5 years. Wow! And according to Medallia, they've ranked #1 in online reviews for 9 years running. What's more, Red Roof consistently offers one of the highest RevPARs in the economy segment. You know why? Because they're careful to make sure standards reflect guest expectations, are fully tested, and also well priced. In fact, listen to this. They operate over 100 properties themselves, so they understand their franchisees' perspective. I feel like this is where I need to pull out they've got skin in the game line, right? So then there's also the brand extension they've created in the upscale economy market. Red Roof Plus properties feature wood-like flooring, high-end bedding, spa-inspired baths, enhanced landscaping, and more, all based on consumer research. And plus, the first time I saw this room when they debuted a number of years ago, I was blown away. I couldn't believe I was looking at a budget budget branded property. So awesome, such great customer impact. And listen to this, all Red Roof offerings come with Ready Rewards, the richest in-class loyalty program with more than 3 million members. And that just happens to be the least expensive loyalty program on the market for owners like you. Put it all together, there's no surprise Red Roof has a franchisee satisfaction rate of 86%. And those franchisees, they're going to tell you genuine relationships, real results. It isn't just some slogan. It's truly how Red Roof does business. To learn more, visit redrooffranchising.com or call 888-473-8861. That's 888-473-8861. Tell them Glenn sent you.
Back to the show. It's No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the No Vacancy podcast with me, your host, Glenn Hausman. Man, am I excited to be here today, coming at you from a balcony at the Home2 Suites in San Antonio with the brand's global head, Adrian Kurre, man, who's been in plank position since 2015.
Yeah. You know, the world record for a plank is 10 hours and 11 minutes.
Jeez.
So I am only 10 hours away from setting a new world record.
Yeah, I remember when we first started to get to know each other. You were doing the planking. You were adding, I think, 5 seconds every day. Just 1 second.
1 second every day.
Right.
1 second every day for the entire year of 2016.
That's pretty amazing.
And did it every day. Ended up the last day was supposed to be 8 minutes and 7 seconds.
Right.
And then I went 11 minutes and 10 seconds, and that's my personal world record.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. All right, so I want to talk to you a little bit about today, about what's going on with Home2 Suites, but I got to be honest with you, I think that this place is really cool. We're here in San Antonio. For those of you watching on the video, you can see we're overlooking the San Antonio Riverwalk. What a great place to have a brand new hotel.
Well, it's just a stunning location. So you walk right out the back door, and you can walk along the river walk, and it's just a beautiful place for us to take our extended stay guests and to give them an absolutely incredible experience. So we're so excited.
Yeah, it really is. It was a great experience. I had a chance to stay here last night, and I love San Antonio from the mindset of not just a leisure traveler, but the convention goer. I feel like this market was just built for great conventions.
Well, it is because there's so much to do here. So it's not like you come into the city and there is some place to go, something to do. So when you come in for a convention here, you've got all the wonderful activities that are here. You have the Riverwalk, and then you have world-class facilities here to really take care of your needs. So it is a great destination.
Yeah, it really is. So you guys partnered with Vista on this particular project?
Vista Host, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say real briefly how much we miss Mike Harrell. His passing was personally devastating for me. He's just a truly wonderful individual. And he used to take the time out for me in my early days of teaching me the business. We spent a lot of time sitting down and talking
about...
Teaching
you the business.
Yeah, well, because we're in two different parts of the business.
Right.
So we're the franchisor, he was
Right.
the franchisee. And we had some great discussions and learned from Mike the things that... For example, we discovered that there's really only one reason you build a hotel.
What would that be? I'm going to guess it's to give back charity to the community.
Yeah, there you go. Which they did a great job of here. But the real reason you build a hotel is to make money.
Yeah, of course.
That's okay in our industry. It's okay to admit that. And so Mike and I spent a lot of time together talking about what we as a franchisor could do to help them as franchisees make more money. So obviously it's drive revenue, reservations, all of the things that are there, but how can we help them in construction costs and operational costs in order to really make as much money as they possibly can while still delivering an incredible overall experience? And so Mike was awesome at that.
Yeah, I really also miss Mike too. He was just so open and kind, and just like you said, he almost, like, just getting to know him, he took a vested interest in me, which I really loved. And what I also liked about him was that he was a real forward-thinking hotelier, and I know he's partnered with other Hilton brands in the past, and now this particular property. But what I like is he seems to really want to plus it all the time, right? He seems to really want to make it an environment that's very reflective of the community with which you're in. And he seems to have a very high emphasis on art, which I think really transforms the whole stay into a true localized experience.
Well, yeah, as you walk around here, you see what he has done with the art from Max the Bull
Right.
in the lobby and the murals
And
that
Max
are
the
on
Bull
the
is a
side.
giant fiberglass bowl that is so big that if I was 7, I would so want to be climbing on
Yeah,
it.
and so not going to let that happen because Max needs to be gentle. So, but the murals that have got, and then the ability to just come down and on the square, and we've got all of these Hilton properties that are also around here. So you can walk over to the Embassy, you
Right.
can walk down to the Home2 Suites, and then this is obviously a dual branded hotel, so we've got the Hampton attached to the Home2.
Yeah, but today we're going to be focusing mostly on the Home2, but it is important to talk about the dual nature of these brands. It seems that they've been around for a while, but in the last 5 years, it seems both the franchisor side and the franchisee side have really figured out how to power this engine to make it a really strong component to a lot of developments that have been happening lately.
Well, yeah, it's an incredible thing, and especially when you think about the owners and what they have to do in a dual branded hotel. So you have one front desk, you have one pool, you have one back of house. And so the synergy that you gain from that, and you have 2 reservation systems.
Right.
So you take the 2 reservation systems here from Hampton and Home2 with the really stellar things that go on with those 2 brands. And you take this large hotel, break it into a smaller component. And we have found that Home2 and also Homewood are what we like to say is the anchors for these dual branded
Yeah,
hotels.
absolutely.
Because they're extended stay hotels.
Right, the all suites component is essential for a dual branded hotel.
Yeah. We think that if operated the right way, if you think about the normal Home2, you would say 35 to 45% of your occupancy would be 5+ nights. Well, what we're encouraging dual branded hotels to look at is you've got the transient component going over to the Hampton side. You've got the extended stay component. So target 100% of your Home2 rooms to find that extended stay business so that you've got one, say, 225 room hotel that half of it is extended stay, and then you get all the benefits of that extended stay. Now, that's really hard to do, obviously. The hardest...
Yeah, but you made it seem really easy.
Yeah. Well, and the salespeople have told me this
Right.
when we're listening to them, which we do all the time. The hardest sales job in the hotel industry is to find the extended stay business. It
Right.
doesn't just come to you. You have to pound the ground. You have to look through your backyard and find that business. And that job is never done. It's not like in July you say, well, I found all the extended stay business that I have to find. You have to continue to look for that. You have to fill that fourth quarter.
Right.
You have to fill that first quarter, and you're looking for that business that's out there.
I would say it may be harder to uncover that business. When you do uncover that business, you get a lot of play for it. So
Yeah.
it may not be putting in the same amount as energy into transient business, but if you have a much higher average stay length, the
Yeah.
payback is pretty strong.
Well, and the payback is immensely strong. So what we look for is the most profitable segment
Right.
of that extended stay is 5 to 15 nights. What we found is that you don't have to discount off of your rack rate very
Right.
much to get that 5 to 15 nights. And then think of the shoulder nights and weekends that stay is
Right.
taken care of. So
I'm just thinking about those Sundays that you don't have to worry
Oh,
about.
yeah. And with the occupancies that we're running, essentially, the brand is doing so well in our mature hotels that we're running over 80% occupancy for the year, and we're driving those now as we're getting into the summer months. That essentially, from Easter to Thanksgiving, a Sunday night's about the only night that you can say that you're not consistently almost selling out.
Right, and then having that extended stay business ameliorate some of that pain a little bit for the hoteliers that are out there. I find the growth and changing nature and the maturation of how dual branded hotels started to really happen. Used to be 2 in the same parking lot kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Then they kind of put them in the same building, but they were separate. Now it seems like this is much more of a hybrid kind of a structure with, to me, shouts more efficiency, better construction costs, and much lower operating costs.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything that you just said is spot on right there. The whole idea on this thing is find the product that the guests really enjoy, and then you maximize the owner return on investment. Like I said, one front desk, one laundry facility, one back of the house, and all of those things where you take square footage, what would have been 2 separate hotels with all the square footage in the back of the house to support all of that. you now are able to combine, and so it drives the return on investment.
Right, and I've got to think that there's some sort of labor efficiencies as well with the product. But what I do want to talk about, I really want to focus on the Home2 Suites brand. It's your thing.
And thank you for that.
It's your life.
Excellent.
But I felt like it was important to kind of do that dual branded thing, because I do believe it's an important case to make to owners. And I think when you have a smart brand like Home2 Suites as part of the equation, you'll be a lot more successful in the long run. But let's talk.
I agree with you completely.
Yeah, but let's talk about the success that you've been having with Home2 Suites. How long has the brand been around now?
Well, the first hotel opened in 2011.
All right, so I almost would have guessed it right. I was going to say 7-8 years.
Yeah. So the first 6 hotels are turning 8 years old this year. So we've got 8 turning 6 years old, or 6 hotels turning 8 this year, 6 more turning next year, and then 16 hotels, and then 30 hotels, and then 70 hotels. So what's been really fun for me is we started the year at 300 hotels open. We will finish the year close to 400 hotels open. When you look at our pipeline, we've got 440 hotels in the pipeline. We like to brag about this being the fastest growing brand within the Hilton family of brands. And so True, which is an awesome brand, and they're starting to ramp up very quickly. So I think we're only going to be able to brag about the number opening for a couple more years.
Adrian,
and then
I say you rock it out for as long as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And if I were you, I might try to thwart those True people.
Yeah,
from
no.
We
kind of like those True people. So it's the openings have happened.
Right.
Owners like it. Owners truly enjoy the brand because we are driving incredible return on their investment. And so, and it's all about Bill Duncan. When he formulated this brand and we first opened, he worked with franchisees to say, what do we need to put into this mid-price extended stay brand? How can we make it efficient to build? How can we make it efficient to operate? And so my position here, being over the last 3 years, is to try to maximize that. One of the fun stories was the first Owners Advisory Council that I had. And the Owners Advisory Council got me together, and they sat me down in a room and said, okay, Adrian, we're really happy to have you with Home2. You did a great job with Hilton. And we're really happy, but don't screw it up.
Right, yeah.
Because we're making good money out of this. Don't screw it up.
Well, that's good. That's good for you to hear, because it means that everything is already in place, that you have the foundation from which to build upon, and you don't have to go into freak out mode to try to rescue something, right? I've seen too many fire stories for brands that weren't really performing in the right way before.
Well, that's the beauty of this brand is when you look at everything the way it was put together, it's there to be efficient. So we had 25 years at that point of Homewood and understanding the extended stay market. And now we've got this Home2 brand that has taken advantage of all of that experience. We also, because we're in the All Suites brands, have taken some wonderful learnings from the Embassy Suites brand. Both of those are close to 30-year-old brands, and there's a lot of learning that we got off that to make sure that this is really efficient. So you look at for example, the breakfast experience that we have. We have an incredible breakfast experience that it's free to the guest.
Right.
And we've got a combination of, you can take all of those wonderful items, healthy items to not so healthy items with
I had a healthy, not so healthy item this morning. I felt like I wanted the waffle because it was in the shape of the state of Texas, so I had to have it.
You had to have it.
Mickey Mouse should not be the only one with waffles dedicated to them, right? But they were whole wheat, so it took a little bit of that edge off.
Yeah, so we're trying to do a good balance of that. We know that everybody doesn't always want to be spot on.
Right.
Like, we all know what
I want to be. I just always let myself down.
Well, I ask this question all the time, but we all know what we're supposed to eat.
That's right.
And we know what we're supposed to avoid, but there are certain things that life is not worth living without. For example, for me, bacon.
Right.
Life is not worth living without bacon for me. Dark chocolate. I'm going to have my dark chocolate. But in the morning, what I do is I go to the healthy side of that breakfast. So this morning I had the oatmeal, and then I had the egg omelet. And so then I got my protein off the egg omelets, and I got my carbs off of the oatmeal, and I'm in a nice healthy position for the rest of the day. So what we're trying to do with that breakfast is to
and
make
I should say the whole area is called the Inspired Table,
Yep,
right?
you got it,
So
you got it.
it's got that branding, it's got a very specific point of view, but a point of view that you want to keep tweaking and honing to make sure that it's giving guests what they want while taking care of the ownership side.
Well,
too.
and that's a great example of listening to the owners. Our lowest rated attribute is our breakfast. Now,
right.
You look at breakfast, and what we needed to have, and again, learning this from our franchisees, is that we needed to have a focus on profitability. Yes, we want to give the best guest experience we possibly can, but I don't want that guest experience to cost so much money that I'm eroding the profits. So we took a look, when I came on board, and we took a look at that breakfast experience being our lowest rated attribute in the brand and say, how could we improve that? Brought the food and beverage team together and we looked at it. So essentially what we've got is we've got these artisan sandwiches, and they're the exact same sandwiches that a Starbucks would use.
Right.
But what we're doing is we're asking the guests to put them in a microwave, which degrades the sandwiches, and then worse than that, what it does is it backs up the flow of that breakfast. So it takes anywhere from 2 minutes to 3.5 minutes to warm up one of those sandwiches.
That's a long time.
And it's a long time. So people are queuing up behind there. So the food and beverage team got together and they looked at that and said, well, how can we take these wonderful sandwiches and improve the experience? So we tested in 7 of our hotels, and we found that we've got a special oven that we're going to put in the back of the house, and we're going to bulk cook those sandwiches in the morning. Now, this oven is it's humidity balanced and
unlike our experience here on the balcony.
Yes, yeah. Am I starting to sweat here a little bit? So yeah, so it actually produces these sandwiches, and they're absolutely awesome. And then we're going to put them in a display cabinet already warmed up.
Oh, nice.
Now, here's the cool thing. The cost of the product actually will go down.
All right, wait.
In this.
Well, how does that work? Because you're creating, it seems to me, much more effort on the hotel side where before it was self-service.
Yeah. The beautiful thing is you thaw the sandwiches the night before. They come in, they put them in these ovens, they cook them, and we put them in the display oven. So all of that gets done before the first guest shows up in the morning. They will hold for 4 hours without degrading, right? Absolutely awesome product.
And I bet they'll taste better too.
And the quality of them is better, and you don't have the backup, and then the cost, as I've described. So now we get them individually wrapped because we have to put little stickers on them to tell the guest how long to warm them. All that individual wrapping goes away, which lowers the cost of the product, right?
Right, and also I think creates a better perception that you're more sustainably focused.
Absolutely. But here's the really cool part that we didn't know.
Yeah.
And this is like we brand guys are geeks for this stuff. Okay.
I'm sure I'm going to love it too.
One of the things that we didn't understand was that there are people coming in on a per diem. When you put those sandwiches in a cold well and you ask the guests to heat them up themselves, they're doing it at breakfast, not a great product. But what they're also doing is they're figuring, okay, I'm going to take advantage of my per diem. They were grabbing 5-6 sandwiches, bringing them back to their room, eating them for lunch and dinner.
5 or 6 sandwiches?
Yeah.
So that's a whole lot of sandwiches to take to your room.
That's a whole lot of sandwiches to take to the room.
Right. So let me see if I got this straight. So by actually paying someone to take care of it, you're increasing the perception of customer service while really enhancing the quality of food while minimizing the risk of people taking all of the extras, which in aggregate lowers the overall expense.
Cost per occupied room actually went down in the test.
That's pretty amazing.
And then breakfast scores went up by 10 points.
That's great.
Now, what we also are going to be able to do with this is how can we then utilize this asset to drive more revenue for the owners. So the original 7 hotels that tested the breakfast, we're going to roll the breakfast out. All hotels opening from September on are going to open with the new product. And then we're going to roll out, we're going to backfill into the existing hotels. Now, we get the ovens in there. The original 7 hotels are going to go on to their next test then. How can we activate that lobby space in the evening? Now that we've got this oven in the hotel, What we want to do is experiment with some products where we can give the guests, sell them something.
Right.
I don't want to. We're not going to go into an evening reception. You have to be really careful. I don't want to give it away for free.
Yeah, because then you start to train the guests to have that expectation, and all it's going to do is take more money out of owners' pocketbooks when they're already becoming concerned about the increased operational costs of hotels these days.
So if you take the whole thing in perspective, if I can utilize that oven, so now what I can do is I can put little table tents out there. And I can cook. I can cook a pretzel. I can cook a pizza. I can cook a protein bowl. I can cook some things in there at night, and that will accomplish two things. It will allow the owner to drive some incremental revenue, to utilize what is existing now. And again, going back to that extended stay nature of this hotel, on any given Tuesday or Wednesday night, if you've got 35 to 40% of your occupancy is extended stay, you probably have 10 to 15 check-ins, right? So you've got that person standing behind that front desk. Now, in our brand, about 24% of our guests are using digital check-in, and about 18% of our guests are using digital key.
Numbers that are just going to continue to rise over time.
Well, we think that's a hard trend. We think that's not going to go backwards. People are not going to get away from that. Uber and Lyft are great examples.
I want a metal key.
Yeah, well, and Lyft and Uber are a great example. You can't get on a Lyft or an Uber without the app, right? So a couple great things happen with this. Now, if I can get that digital check-in and digital key percentage up, let's target 100%. I know that at some point your grandmother's going to want to check in, and then we'll have, but give that front desk person a handheld device. But now I can take that front desk person and repurpose them. So rather than them standing behind that computer under the chance that somebody's going to walk through that door and want to check in, and they have to be there to stand behind the computer. Now I can get them out from behind that front desk. I can get them to sell something to that guest. The guest experience improves. The team members' experience improves.
For sure.
The revenues for the hotel improve. And so we're going to find what kind of things can we do with that oven now that we've got it there to just increase that experience and drive profitability for the owners.
Well, that's an amazing thing when you add one little component, and it seems to have a ripple effect throughout the entire organization. So that must be pretty cool for you to find a solution that's so simple and doesn't cost the owner a whole lot of money up front. I mean, it's just an oven.
It's an oven. It's a display oven and the oven in the back of the house.
Yeah.
What it does then is it allows us to think about how are we going to then take advantage of that in future iterations of the prototype without, again, like the OAC told me, don't screw it up.
Right.
So one of the things that we're very focused on in that process, though, is honors enrollment. So we need as many people in the honors program as we possibly can. Now, the idea would be that if you are on the honors program, you can use the app to digitally check in. You can use the app to digital key. You can use the app to digital checkout.
Right.
And then we can get that position that in the old days when you watch the old movies, the front desk was the place that everybody went to, and that's where you experienced that light and warmth of hospitality, right? And that the biggest mistake we ever made in our industry was putting the computers at the front desk, because that position turned from one of delivering the light and warmth of hospitality to transactional.
Yeah, and I think the hotel industry's had a hard time rebounding from that and turning what is a transactional experience back into something that's guest focused and an experiential tip. So if you could just somehow eliminate all that altogether, then you're talking about being able to make better connections with customers.
Absolutely. So I think somewhere in the future that, you can't get a lift without having the app, that somewhere in the future, I think that 100% of our check-ins will be digital, 100% of our checkouts will be digital, and 100% of our key usage will be digital key usage. Now, you've got to make sure that the digital works. The key has to work 100% of the time. The check-in experience has to work. For our full-service hotels, we don't do upgrades to honors members in this brand because we're a very simplified brand, but you need to make sure that the upgrades are still there. All of that stuff needs to happen. But then you figure out how can you repurpose that? Well, if you look at one of the biggest things that the owners are telling me that they're having a problem with today is labor.
Right.
So you can't hire people, you can't pay them enough. We're talking about all the minimum wage increases and all that. So if you can repurpose that position and utilize it in a way where you can get them to sell something, and then like a Lyft app where you just put in there, your bill here is $7 for dinner. Do you want to do a 15, 20, 30% tip on there so that you can create again a different experience for the team member and the guest, that should help the owners out going in the future too. So honors enrollments, if we can get as many honors, and I'm the All Suites Focus Service Brand Champion for honors enrollments. So I am the official pester factor for getting as many honors members enrolled. And we've got fun games and things that we're doing to encourage our team members.
Right.
We found that 1 in every 3 people, if you just ask them if they want to become an honors member, they say sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no cost. There's no negative to becoming an honors member.
I don't understand why people wouldn't be.
Yeah. And so the positive is that now if we can get them, if we communicate with them and create the right relationship with them, then we get them to book direct, and you get
right
through all that other stuff.
Yeah, that's sure. I remember one of the first conversations we had when you took over this particular position is you were already thinking about the future, and you had said that in the future the most important job in the hotel is probably going to be the bartender, right?
Yep.
Because they're the ones that are going to really be able to make those personalized connections, and I still think that's true, and it's very symbolic of how we all need to think about running these properties a little bit differently to better meet the needs of the mid-21st century, right?
Yeah, it's. I work with a guy by the name of Daniel Burris, and what Daniel does for me is he's got me thinking anticipatory. He's got me thinking about, don't solve the problem of today, solve the problems of tomorrow. If you're solving the problems of today, you're always going to be solving the problems of today. But if you figure out what is the hard trend, what's going to happen in the future, and you solve for that, then you're in a better position.
So what you're really saying is you get out of being more reactionary and just plan it all a little bit better, and everything just becomes a lot easier then.
It becomes a lot easier, and then you are setting the standard, and you're not looking for somebody, what did so-and-so do that I need to catch up with? You want to be able to set that standard. So I think looking at that guest experience from the aspect of how do you make the guest experience better, and then how do you make the team member experience better. Mm-hmm. There's another interesting group of people that I work with, Neil Doshi. He wrote the book Primed to Perform. And Neil describes the 6 different factors of motivation. And there's 3 positive factors to motivation and 3 negative factors to motivation. And in your podcast, I don't have time to go into all of them. Sure. I could, but but the 3 positive ones are play, purpose, and potential. So if you take the task at hand and you look at that task, and if you figure out what is in this for me, that is potential. If I do this task, this will happen for me. So I take it from a health standpoint. If I lift weights, my muscles will get stronger. My core will get stronger. My bones will get stronger. Then you look at, so that's the lowest of the positive factors, but it's positive.
Every single time I walk up the stairs of my house, my wife yells, core, because she doesn't want me to hold on to the handrails.
She's good. She's good. So the next highest one is tie it to a higher purpose.
Right.
So if you can figure out for yourself what is in this, the higher purpose. For me, the fitness was I have 7-year-old twins. I'm 63. I'll be 74 before they graduate from high school.
Right.
The higher purpose was I want to be there. If I'm going to bring them into the world at my advanced age, I need to be there for them.
I used to think a guy like you was advanced age. Not so much anymore.
Good. So one of the higher purpose things that we do here is clean the world, for example. Mm-hmm. We recycle the soap. That soap is then brought over to places where they don't have access to cleaning supplies. We have found that in the places where we have delivered that soap, attendance in school goes up by 47%, and kids are not dying of dysentery disease.
Right.
Now,
and no joke, they are saving lives.
They're saving lives
every single day. Right. And it's absolutely an incredible program.
We had a goal of 1 million bars of soap. Mm-hmm. We broke that already. We're now going for 2 million bars of soap. But if I go back to the hotel to tie this to that higher purpose, if I go into the hotel and say, you will recycle the soap because it's a quality assurance standard, and if you don't recycle the soap, you're going to lose points off your QA. So recycle the soap, damn it. Mm-hmm. They go, whatever.
Right.
If I say to them, in places that we send this soap, kids are not dying of dysentery disease. You tie it to a higher purpose, they're recycling the soap. Okay?
That sounds like a good motivational technique just all around in the spirit of hospitality, right? Because the whole purpose of being here is to serve that higher purpose.
It's the same thing with the honors program. The honors program, what's in it for the guests? First of all, it's you're amassing points and you're getting all of these great perks. But what's the higher purpose for you? We had one person who who saved up all of his points and then went to a beach in Florida at a Waldorf Astoria and asked his fiance, to marry him. His girlfriend
at the time.
Girlfriend at the time to marry him. The higher purpose of all of those points got him to this wonderful place where he could do that. So the higher purpose is the highest thing that you can do to motivate a team member, and you are a great example of this, is play. Mm-hmm. If you feel in the task at hand that the task is play, you will outperform the higher purpose, you'll outperform the potential, you'll outperform all of the negatives. When you get onto the podcast, you're playing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's you can see the enjoyment in your face, and you're having a good time.
Not so much with this interview, but
with most other interviews, you look like you're really truly having a good time. So if you get into that position of play, so what we have to do is we have to figure out how can we help our team members play. So if I can get that team member out from behind that front desk,
right,
and I can get them interacting with the guest, it's great for the guest, it's great for the team member. The same thing happens. How do I make the housekeeping job feel like play? Mm-hmm. It is the hardest
Absolutely.
job in the industry. And so what we're trying to do is we've got a whole team of figuring out, because we really haven't changed housekeeping in 40 years. In fact, we've made it harder on them by putting showers in and glass showers. We actually made it harder to clean that bathroom and made it longer and more difficult. So we've got a whole team of people within Hilton figuring out what is the best shower experience, what is the best, how do we drive cleanliness in the hotel in a market where it's really hard to find housekeepers. And so they're working on 5 or 6 different projects to say, how do we make this more fun? How do we make it how do we make it easier to do so that people can enjoy this a little bit more?
Yeah, so I think it's a mix of creating a gamification thing that makes people perhaps compete against themselves.
Absolutely.
While also finding ways to simplify the cleaning process. So I think if you're looking to the future, we're going to see some sort of AI robotics kind of coming into these things. If you could relieve that housekeeper from having to clean all of the floors, for example, while a machine does that, and let them focus on other elements in the room, I think that's where you start to create a win-win. Another win that I've seen here in my room at the Home2 Suites on San Antonio Riverwalk was in the showers, you have the dispensers as opposed to bars of soap.
Yeah.
I think that connects with a lot of customers, number one, because it feels more sustainable. It just feels like the right thing to do. But secondly, you don't have any of that soap scum from leaving bars of soap all over the place, which I think simplifies the cleaning process.
Well, and we've done all the studies on sustainability. Right now, it's 35% of our guests say that that's a really important thing. About another 20% say it's not really important, but important. And then there's about 50% that say, whatever. Okay. All right. But again, think of the hard trend on that. The hard trend is I've got these 7-year-old boys.
Right.
I would prefer to not have little plastic. One of the great advantages of the recycling is those little soap bottles that we've got in there, shampoo bottles. Those are being recycled now. They're not going into landfill anymore. And so it's not just the bars of soap that are getting recycled, but those bottles that are getting recycled. So we're improving our landfill situation. And that is going to become more and more important to guests as we go along, not less.
I'm curious, in the statistics that you were giving me, I'd be curious to see if you break it out by demographics, how much it changes. Because I have a feeling it's a higher, much, much higher percentage of younger travelers that are on the pro-sustainability thing and older folks that are like, I don't want to be bothered.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. As you get into, let's see, I'm not going to say anything negative about millennials.
Right.
What's the one after them?
Generation Z.
Okay, the Generation Zs and the millennials, they are much more in tune with that process.
Yep.
Also, seasoned parents of 7-year-old twins are really into that.
Yeah.
Because at 7, I want them to have that same world that I felt when I was 7, and maybe there wasn't as much plastic way back then and the things that were out there, and I just want them to be able to enjoy this world. So I'm very
with bicycle helmets.
with bicycle helmets, yes, absolutely.
I can't believe that we didn't even think of it. My parents never thought of it. I was in the emergency room often as a kid because of bicycle and non-helmet related injuries. I get it's amazing to me. All right, I don't want to talk about too much about injuries. What I do want to talk about is the extended stay experience, what it's like for the customer in the room.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I thought was pretty cool is if I'm staying in a place one night, I don't really care so much about how the room is set up.
Yeah.
If I'm staying in a room in that sweet spot, 5 to 15 nights you've been talking about, well, then all of a sudden I want it to be customizable. I want to make it more like me, more like how I want to experience stuff. So I love that you have elements that I could just move around really, really simply. If I want to make my dinner in my room and then eat it in front of the TV, well, I move a table right there, boom, right in front of the TV. I can have a little table to work on the couch, boom, I can move it around. And that seems like a lot of clever stuff that you put in to accentuate the extended stay experience.
Yeah, and that is... extended stay is the key to our success. And so making that person feel really, really comfortable in that room and letting them personalize the room. So whether you want that table in front of the television, whether you want it pushed away, whether you want to put your feet up on the ottoman, pull the little side table out, all of it is there. Another really interesting place is the working wall. So as you saw the wall on your room, extended stay folks, we don't put anything in that wall, in those cabinets. And we let the guests do what they want in those cabinets. And a great example of that was my wife and I went out to Monterey for Father's Day. Now, it was the first time I got to have all three of my kids together at Father's Day because my daughter works in San Francisco. What I didn't realize that weekend was we were in Monterey, and that was U.S. Open weekend.
Good timing.
So we stayed at the Embassy Suites there. Went up to San Francisco then to spend some time with my daughter. Stayed at the Home2 Suites up there. On the way up, we stopped at 3 or 4 beaches, and we let the twins run around on the beach. And my wife is an artist, and so she picked up all of these driftwood and rocks and all those things. So we get up into our room at the Home2, and I went out and I worked out in the morning, and I came back, and she had taken all the driftwood and all the rocks, and she had done this amazing decorative piece up in the working wall. And it was absolutely stunning piece of artwork that she had put together. And she said, this is so cool. As an artist, I get to do this. And she's now one of the biggest Home2 supporters that could possibly be out there because it just made her feel so comfortable in that room that she could put that space was hers. So that whole space, when you get into that room, is yours, and you can do with it what you want to do. And that's great for our business.
I'm glad she's a big supporter of the brand because she was not awkward.
It's like, oh my God.
I think Alan's doing a better job at Embassy.
Well, and he is. Alan's awesome.
He's great. He's great. Of course, referring to Alan Roberts over at Embassy, who's a really great guy. Check out a podcast I did with him about a year and a half ago. I think I'll be having him on again
1946,
this fall.
I think it was. 1946.
Yeah. Okay, so what else? I feel like we've got a good story here on all the elements of the brand. Is there something that we missed about Home2 Suites? Maybe talk a little bit about the construction pipeline for a moment. Where are you going from here?
Well, okay. So as I described, we started the year with 300 hotels. We'll have close to 400 by the end of the year. 440 in the pipeline.
Right.
So right now we're still very focused on North America. So we are filling in all the slots in the U.S. and Canada. At some point in the future, it would just make logical sense for us to take this brand internationally.
Right.
So, but we want to make sure that we've got all of our T's crossed and I's dotted here in North America. So I would look for that to happen over the next few years. In the meantime, what we're going to do is just make sure that we are focused on those 440 hotels that we have in the pipeline, expanding that, and then making them the most efficient.
Right.
So we have a product advisory council that we're talking to that gives us, and those are the construction folks of all of our key partners. And they're telling us, well, if you did this, a great example of this was Rick Calling with the Home2 Suites. And at his product advisory council, one of the guys told him that in order to put the ceiling fan into Home2 Suites, they had to raise the ceiling by 4 inches, which had a
cascade effect
effect on the cost. And so Rick is now making the ceiling fans optional, so so we're listening to our owners to say, what are those things that we can do so that we can continue on this process to make that return on their investment.
That's one of the things that I really respect about Hilton as an overall corporation is that you really seem to partner smartly with the guys that are building and operating the hotels in order to make sure that everybody is on the same page before you even make an announcement of what's going to be standard and what's not?
Yeah, we've got a product advisory council, as I just described. We have the owners advisory council. We have a distribution advisory council. So what we're trying to do is listen and say, here are the things that are important to us as owners. And then that's what a good branding organization should do. You listen to those things and then you take action to help them drive their numbers. And if you do that, then what happens is you become their first choice for construction.
Yep.
And so right now, and what we're told from the development world is that Home2 is the first choice of a new development. So if there's room to put a Home2 in a market, they're looking at that as the first hotel. So it makes it easy on our development group to be selling this brand.
It sure
right
does.
now.
I'd love to get an easy job one day, like selling these kind of franchises.
As long as in that job you feel like it's play, you're okay.
That's true. That's absolutely right. Speaking about play, we're down here in San Antonio, right on Riverwalk. We started the conversation about what a great environment this is for not just leisure traveler, but in particular that conference goer. The All Suites division. What do you have? 17 hotels down here right now.
17 hotels down here, and I couldn't even name them all for you, but 6 or 7, I think, Home2s in San Antonio.
Amazing.
Now. Embassy Suites, Homewood Suites. Obviously, we have full service hotels. We have focus service hotels. So it is a great market. 37 million visitors.
Whoa! Last year
in San Antonio. So there's a lot of hotels here, and what we want to do is we want to be your first choice. So if you come here, we want to be your first choice of hotel system, and we want you to amass your honors points.
Excellent. And way back when we first started the No Vacancy podcast, AHOA had their annual convention here in San Antonio 3 years ago, and I had the opportunity to talk to the woman who was in charge of the San Antonio Visitors Convention Bureau. Totally forgetting her name. Don't even know if she's still there. But if you want, go check out that particular podcast as well. Learn all about what was going on here in San Antonio. Before we wrap up today, Adrian, any final thoughts? And I think maybe you should give yourself a pretty good plug and how people can find you guys.
Well, if you want to find Adrian Kurre, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. So anybody that wants to find me there. If you want to send me an email, I'm Adrian.Kurre, Kurre at Hilton.com, and we can connect up that way. And my last thing is I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for the play, purpose, and potential that you bring to your job and the motivation that you have to do this, because it is an absolute joy to sit down with you. And then what you do for the industry of you also. I attend all of your breakout sessions. I listen to all your podcasts. And what you do is you take this knowledge that you gain from people and you share it, and you keep us on target as an industry. So I want to say thank you to what you do.
I really appreciate that, because sometimes I feel like I'm just kind of like a lone wolf out here. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm just trying to reinvent, how we create conversations here in the hospitality industry. So thank you so much.
You create value, my friend.
I really appreciate that. And hopefully, if you guys think we create value, make sure you subscribe to this podcast. Find it wherever your finer podcasts are found, and even the crappy ones. We're there too. I can't help it if you like it or not. But subscribe and listen to this show. Listen to Checking In with Anthony and Glenn, which I do with Anthony Melchiori of TV's Hotel Impossible. Check out the Hotel Design Podcast, where I speak to all of the leaders in hospitality on the design side of the business, and of course the Business of Hotels podcast and the Hotel Tech podcast as well. I want to thank you all for listening. Adrian, thanks again for being here, and I'll be back next week. That is unless I go try to find the basement at the Alamo and can't find it. See you all next week. Little Pee Wee Herman joke for you kids out there. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman, online at rouse.media, on Twitter at Traveling Glenn, and on Facebook.com/Glenn.Hausman. We'll catch you next time.